On this episode, we set the bar high and then steep you in bitter disappointment. Welcome to Save Every Universe. My name is Alec Garcia. I am a genetically enhanced super soldier who kicks ass all over the universe with help from my trusty power suit.
And I'm Robbie, a former president who wants to just take my skills to the court and dunk over players' heads. Is it the shoes?
Nice. Who were you last week?
Last week I was Vector Man.
Yeah, from Sega game? Genesis.
Yeah,
I looked it up after we talked about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I think I rented it once or twice. But
yeah, I played the crap out of that game.
Yeah,
it was one of my Sega
That's
gems.
pretty obscure. That's pretty good.
I owned it, okay? So
yeah, it doesn't say.
I wasn't like
about
just
its
Google searching obscure.
I do that sometimes for these.
What?
Confession time.
Okay.
So on this,
who were you last week?
Oh yeah, I was Sergeant Cortez from Time Splitters, which I guess he was more of a focus in Time Splitters 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, Time Splitters was a great game.
And if you listened to our episode last week, Jimmy joined us, our special guest.
Yeah, on our VR episode.
Yeah, he was Ken Masters from Street Fighter.
Yeah, that one was a little easy, I felt like.
Well, or yeah, maybe it's too vague. So
I thought it was Karate Kid for sure.
Karate Kid, the video game.
Was one of those lost gems? Had to have been.
I don't think so.
We'll look it up.
All right.
Anyway, today we're talking about open betas versus demos for two reasons, really. First, because the Destiny 2 open beta is coming up, which we're pretty excited about, and we wanted to sort of explore that topic a little bit deeper because it does seem like a lot of people treat betas like demos these days, and really, what is the distinction? Are demos even a thing anymore?
Is that fair?
What is the place of open betas in the gaming industry? What do you have on the docket today, Robbie?
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking about this episode, and I haven't told Alec this, so you're hearing it the first time he is, that I'm almost thinking of this like a two-parter, because we plan on playing the Destiny beta and talking about it in the next episode. So this is going to be kind of...
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, the Destiny 2 is almost is like a demo for a lot of the people who jumped off of Destiny 1.
Kind of.
And so they're like, okay, I'll jump back in and try this out again, and then maybe I'll get back on board.
But there have been a lot of complaints because it's a closed beta, so you have to have pre-ordered Destiny 2 in order to even play it. So the people who want to use it... It does open up
at some point, I think. I think the people who pre-order just get early access, if I'm remembering correctly. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll look into it, and we'll talk about it more on the next episode. But I wanted to explore some of those ideas because I had some conversations with people who were pissed about the pre-order thing.
Yeah.
And I got in a big argument about, well, it's a beta, it's not a demo. So that's what kind of sparked this whole thought process.
Right. Yeah, so, and a lot of the, I actually found like a little survey online that was like, so I think part of the conversation is what it is versus how people use it, right? So if you look up like the definitions of what a beta should be, and you're getting away from even just like video games, but just software development in general. Right. The beta period is about testing and releasing it into the wild in a controlled way, finding all the bugs, fixing them before the actual real final public release. Right. And so a beta is actually really more about providing feedback to the developers.
Right.
Whereas a demo is a little polished thing that they give away that as like a little sample of the finished product. And so
or a trial.
Yeah, so there's really two different purposes, or it should be at least, or it used
to be. In theory, by definition, it does have a different purpose.
Right.
It's supposed to be kind of in a vacuum. It's supposed to help the creator of the game. A beta is.
Right.
It's not originally. It wasn't designed to be like a come play our game.
Yeah,
it was designed to help give feedback.
And the demo is almost the exact opposite of that. The demo is here you go, player, try this out, see if you like it, and then buy.
Right.
But the beta is for the developer more than it is for the customer, or that's how it should be, or that's how it traditionally was in software development.
But now attention is cropping up where people are playing betas. They're playing it like demos.
Right.
They're buying the game. Things get changed between the beta and the final release because it's not the final release.
Right.
There's complaints, and I know some developers are scared to do betas because maybe they're afraid that there's not enough polish. They don't want to scare people away. Maybe the game's kind of buggy, and they want to iron it out.
Right.
And then other developers are clearly using it as a come play our game.
Yeah.
The most recent example that surprised me was the Tom Clancy Wildlands.
Yeah, we played the Wildlands.
The Ghost Recon Wildlands, right? And it was open beta right before it released. So they called it an open beta.
But there wasn't really that much time for them to turn around and implement any changes.
Yeah, it was like a week before, wasn't it?
That one felt more like they were like demoing it out to people than anything else.
Right. So I'm starting to see trends where there are open betas and they kind of want to have their cake and eat it too. Right. They call it an open beta.
Yeah.
And that way they can say, oh, was it screwed up? Well, it's a beta.
Right.
Really, they're trying to like drum up hype and give people a chance to sample the game.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a Ubisoft thing. I don't know if they've done that with other games. Did they do that with The Division?
Well, it seemed, I mean, betas in general are more, I don't know. It's like kind of tough because maybe it was like all the mechanics were there with Wildlands and they just needed to test it with a larger player base,
Stress
all
test the
being on
server.
this. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes I think they're actually polishing balance and stuff like that in a game, and then sometimes I think it feels more like it's ready to go and they're not going to do that much and they're just doing stress tests.
Right. Well, let's rewind. All right, let's back it up. When my first experience with what I'll call demos are probably with like demo discs for PlayStation.
Right.
I know we talked about in a past episode, you were talking about your PC Gamer
and
demos.
Tony Anderson brought that up about like the EGM, the Electronic Gaming Monthly, like you would get this disc that had a couple different demos on it every month. And
So I didn't do it for PC because back then I wasn't as much of a PC gamer. But I remember for my PlayStation 1, I played those all the time. I mean, I would play them until I wore them out. I'd almost play them as much as a game.
Yeah.
Did you have that same?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked before about Metal Gear Solid 1, where it was just that opening sequence and just play that thing to death until the full game came out. Yeah.
But I remember even having like demos of like Soul Reaver that had like the first couple levels and Spyro and some of those old games, and I would just do it again. I'd like play the first.
Well, and those were like a good, exactly what a demo should be. Like, here's a little sample of what's about to come out or what's out now or what just released. Try it, see if you like it, then buy the full thing. That's what those were. Like, there wasn't a big difference or that much of a difference between those demos that released and then the finished game. And there's a lot of people actually, this is like an interesting tangent. There's a lot of people who make the argument that basically this whole like beta online DLC ecosystem that has like emerged is basically an excuse for developers to be lazy and to just release a half-finished game and like just sort of polish the turd after it has plopped into the toilet kind of
It's
thing.
true. I mean, Mass Effect is still fixing errors. Like, I'm still updating.
And pretty substantial stuff that should not have been an issue at launch.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I haven't finished the game. I've played a fair bit through it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to want to be motivated because there keeps being these like, well, we're still fixing it type patches. I'm like, well, do I want to exploit or am I just going to get hosed falling through the ship?
Right.
Whereas other games that do it, like it seems like Final Fantasy 15 has done patches more in a substantial, well, we didn't like the way the story played out this way, or people complained about this, but it's not true bugs. Right. It's not like falling through the map, facial twitching, that kind of thing. So they are using the online environment to do things that you couldn't have done in the past.
But it's like, it's almost like they release it, charge you $60, and then that's when the beta test starts. Yeah. And then they actually fix it into a polished thing later.
It's true. And there's been a huge trend of, especially on the PC ports, like when Arkham City released. On PC, they canceled. They had to like stop it. They stopped selling it, and they were like, "We can't even." It was so bad. Yeah, they still took your money. I think they maybe even offered refunds. It was so bad that time.
Yeah.
So first, there's if I think of demos and demo discs, and then there were trials that can be more easily controlled now with the internet. Right. That wasn't always true. You could like spoof your clock, on your PC or whatever.
You're talking about like 30-day trials.
30-day trials,
MMO or whatever.
I mean, it started with like software, right? It started with like antivirus or
I mean, they still
Adobe
have those
Shop
today for like video editing software or whatever.
And that's easier to control because it's internet. You gotta have an internet connection. I was thinking about the demo discs though, and besides Metal Gear Solid, did you ever go out and buy any of the games that you played on a demo disc?
Not that immediately jump out. I do remember, I think I bought Soul Reaver after playing that demo. That actually, and Metal Gear Solid, but probably not the majority of them.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how effective it really was. Right. Because I was young, we were in junior high-ish around that time, and I remember playing the crap out of the demo, and then it was like, well, I could buy it, but I feel like I played it already. Like, they were almost too long. In that sense. Yeah. Because I kind of felt like, well, I played Spyro. Yeah. And then now I can't remember if I've ever actually played the full game.
See, and maybe, like, because there is some psychology to that. Because, like, a lot of the PlayStation Plus games, I'll download all of them. Like, all the monthly things. And I'll download it and I'll play 10 minutes of it just to check it out. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I wipe it from my hard drive because I'm like, I wanted to see what it was. I enjoy playing a wide variety of games to at least see what's out there.
Now you own it, technically.
Now I own it, and it didn't cost me anything additional to what I'm already paying. Right. And then I treat a lot of those more like a demo that I wouldn't pay full price for.
Right. Yeah, I've kind of been wondering though if that's why they've moved away from the longer demos. Yeah. Instead they give you'll see these full access trials and then they just cut you off. Right. You know, so you get the full heroin right off the bat. Yeah. And then you want it, you know.
First taste is free.
Yeah, exactly. Like I saw the that snowboarding extreme game that came out by Ubisoft.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember the name of it. I know what you're talking about, though.
Rise. It was something, some one-word verb. Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember. But that was like that. You had full access all weekend.
Yeah.
MMOs are using the trials.
I think they did it with Rainbow Six as well. Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, Rainbow
they did
Six
a free
did it.
weekend or whatever, which is it's a good idea.
That seems a little bit stronger than a demo.
Yeah.
Because it's a full polished game.
Yeah.
You get hooked.
Yeah.
For whatever. As long as you have the schedule. I mean, I've had times when those went free.
Right.
And I was busy that weekend and then it ended and people were like, well, did you play it? I'm like, no, I had a fucking life.
Right.
Was it good? I don't know. I'm not willing to now go sink $60 into it because you played the trial.
Right.
You know? So I think there's a balancing act there too. But anyway, I think that's why you don't see the demos as much anymore.
Well, I mean, it's weird though, because it's like easier. It's probably easier to deliver for a finished game now that everything's digital.
Right.
And they still exist like on the PlayStation Store, but they're kind of buried. You have to like go search for the demos like down this hole to like find that. But it does seem like more people are they're either playing betas and then buying, or they're just like kind of buying blind and or waiting for price drops and then buying. Or
it's a little nerve-wracking to do that.
Yeah.
Like I hate spending like full price on a game and then not liking it.
And hoping it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it feels almost like rolling the dice these days.
Yeah, so, in that way, I do think betas do get treated like demos. Like, I found some stats online I think it was on GameFAQs.com, where they like actually had a poll, and it was, when you are in a beta, do you take the time to report bugs or just play it? And then the two categories were, I don't report bugs. A beta is basically a demo for me. I play for fun. And then the other one was, I find every bug I can to report to try to help the developers. And it was basically 75-25 split. Like 75% of people, it's just that they download it as a demo.
Yeah.
And they're playing for fun and they don't really give a shit about giving anything back to the developer or helping them other than whatever the developers can collect from people being online and playing. They're not actively contributing anything back. Like, is probably required maybe like in a closed beta is actually providing feedback and stuff like that.
It's not always required. It's just they're a little bit more up in your face about it.
Yeah. And they probably choose people because a lot of it's invite only and that kind of thing. But
yeah, I remember playing the Star Wars online, the Old Republic.
Yeah.
The Old Republic. There's been, I guess, a couple online. But
yeah.
I was really excited for it to come out. I got into the closed beta. I was like, Mr. Goody Two Shoes, I'm going to report everything. I wrote pages of reports.
Yeah.
To help out the developer, because I wanted this to be the best game,
right?
You know, and even now when I play betas, if they give you like a pop up like, we'd like you to try doing this, we'd like you to test this for us, I try and do it, because in my head that's what a beta is.
A lot of the when it's open betas though, and maybe that's how it is in closed betas, but like in open betas, there's none of that. It's just sort of like, hey, this is not a finished product. Enjoy. Thanks for playing. Like so. Right. The developers are even a little bit looser there, which is why I think they're probably stress testing more than they're gathering active feedback from the community. And
I think in the stuff for Destiny that's coming out, that's even what they said. They said, we kind of just want you... They said they're going to open up the tower or whatever the new social area is for like 2 hours on Sunday with the request that everyone bombards it.
Yeah.
That's the like plan on Sunday. But it's a closed beta.
But so even them, they're almost treating it more like a demo though, because it's like we have the trailer, we posted it on our Facebook page, but it was it's like play the first mission, like play a couple rounds of like, it's sort of like come get a little sampler platter and find out that this game isn't broken like the first one. Like for all those people that
there's plenty of activity. I think with this beta, and this is kind of why I think this is a timely episode, it's a little bit of a hybrid. You know what I mean? Because I saw the request, so they want to stress test, but then they're putting out trailers, like beta trailers, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. I watched it. I'm excited, but that is more of a drumming up advertisement. You know, please come play this. Maybe even trying to drum up like pre-orders and stuff. Yeah, it's weird to see that type of a hybrid.
It is. So speaking of hybrids, another one of the things that I wanted to talk about is like a thing that's huge right now is the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which it's a really cool game. It's like a really simple game. If you watched, I know you don't have it, but have you watched some gameplay and stuff on YouTube? It's pretty big. A lot of the YouTubers are doing it, and I think so it's an interesting game where they developed it and then they released it in like a closed beta or a closed alpha and then beta periods, and they opened it up. And they're actively openly. They're developing it based on, like, they just released it and now they're actively developing it out based on community feedback. So from the ground up, from the very beginning, it was not a finished product and, hey, come play this and help us make it good. That's along the way, which is pretty cool. And it almost seems like that's some of these games like Mass Effect Andromeda would have been, if they would have come out and said, hey, like, we're releasing a partially finished product and we want you to come in and break and explore this world. Yeah. And we're going to turn it into the best Mass Effect game that has ever existed. That would have been a whole different thing, but they released a piece of shit for $60 and then charged people. Not a piece of shit. I do like the combat. It is really fun. Pardon
but it wasn't a
it was product. Not as polished as it should have been. And so it almost kind of like we talked about in the E3, it's like, it's dangerous to set expectations with like, here's what this beta is for. Right. Versus like, hey, like, you know, we're going to build this thing based on your feedback is a whole different thing, which I think is awesome. And it does feel like it's Pandora's box that can't be closed now. It's not going to go back to demos and betas and that kind of thing. It almost feels like games are pushing into this world where they release something and then the world evolves, like the video game world that they're creating evolves collaboratively.
Right. It's more of a living
which
creation.
is where Destiny has gone too, and where they went through that whole period with the Taken King and responding to community feedback. Right. And, which is, to me, overall is a good thing.
Overall, I agree. I mean, it's cool because I think that, like Destiny 2, they kind of they kind of wanted to start over a little bit and rebuild. And they said that was why. Right. They weren't agile enough. They didn't, I mean, that all sounds nice. It's buzzwords for a video. But if it's true, I think that's good. Yeah. You know, that they want to respond to people's feedback. They weren't ready for the type of hours that people were going to put into their game. Right. I've seen other examples on Steam games like Starbound and Terraria where they kind of, they were transparent about it too. Yeah. They're like, well, we're still working on it. Yeah. And they'll sell it for like a reduced, buy it now. Yeah. It's not done. Right. You know, you're willing to pay $10 and don't bitch at us. Just help us. Right. You know, when it's done, they'll probably come out and sell it for 30 or 40 later. Right. Which is a cool idea.
Which is, I think, is how they did it with Battlegrounds, is it was like $30 or something like that on Steam, and it was like, buy it, it's not a full-priced big game, and here's what you get, and here's the deal. Yeah.
But you can't do that with disc games. Not as well, right? It comes off more like, well, I bought the disc. Yeah. Why isn't the game on the disc? Yeah. You know, you still have a lot of people who aren't willing to do that internet update all the time, or they're living on metered net, or probably not as many as there used to be. Right. But it's still a complaint.
Well, but like the digital sales like starting to eclipse is like part of that. Like the buying a disc is almost like a token thing, just because they like sort of have to do it to support and have exposure in like Target and Walmart and Best Buy and whatever. But it's at this point, it's not really essential. Yeah. For most gamers in most places.
Have you ever played a beta? Or played a like beta that you were disappointed in the final product, or used it just as a demo and been pissed off about it, disgruntled?
So I personally think that betas are more. I treat them more like demos. I think I'm more definitely in that category. And Destiny, like Destiny 1, for example, like I don't remember being super disappointed or thrown off going from beta to full game. Right. When Destiny 1 came out, I didn't personally have a ton of heavy expectations on it. So when I played the demo, I was like, this is cool. Or the demo, the beta. There you go. I liked the beta enough that I was like, okay, if it's this, but a lot more of it, like, then I'm good to go. I didn't have complaints about Destiny 1 until I got to the end game stuff.
Yeah. I've used them as demos, you know, like I remember, well, Final Fantasy 14 came out with the 1.0, we'll call it. Yeah. And it was crap. Yeah. And they did the open beta, and it was so bad. Yeah. I was like, I am never, ever playing this game. Well, they did it again when the new director got hired. They rebuilt the game and came out with 2.0. Yeah. There's no way in hell you would have got me to buy that game without some type of demo trial. Right. And then I played the trial of 2.0 and was like, this is great. Yeah. Like, how is this even the same game? Yeah. So it almost had a deterring effect in 1.0, and then it's the reason I bought the game in 2.0.
Yeah. And the same with Destiny 2. I think that's why they're having trailers and pushing like the open beta starts this day or whatever, is because they scared off so many people with the original Destiny 1 vanilla.
Yeah. So I wanted to, on that note though, when I was playing Destiny 1, I think you could go up to like level 10 or something. Do you remember?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I remember being I hate putting too much time into the beta. Right. Because most of the time it doesn't carry over. Yeah, you got to start all over again. I don't want to like burn out on the opening quests or dungeons or whatever.
Which is where like some of those like MMOs that it's full access,
Yeah.
but you only get to play for a certain amount of time. Yeah, I think that
The trial,
a lot of times that
yeah.
works better, maybe.
I think so,
Because you're already hooked, and you know if you just put in your credit card, you just get to keep playing with all your stuff.
And that's true now. Like WoW does that now.
Right.
I think 14 even does that.
Yeah.
And it's smarter, but those games have been around long enough to do that.
Right.
You know, before a game actually releases,
That's
it's
true.
harder to do
to carry it over.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it would be cool to continue seeing the trial. I've started seeing that even on the console games,
Right.
where it's like play the trial. If you want to keep going, buy the game.
Right,
You know, that's smart because then you don't feel like you're wasting your time.
Right.
Because it's a pain in the ass. Like in Star Wars: The Old Republic, I spent a lot of time in that beta.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked to like
Have it all
start
go
all over
away.
again.
Yeah.
And I had to like. I didn't appreciate it when the game came out.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's just get past this shit. I've already done this, you know? And so some of that wow effect, the awe, was kind of lost, which is unfortunate.
So I think, like it or not, better or worse, betas in general, at least open betas, are demos. They're a modern demo.
They are.
But what I do think, like the one thing that developers like need feedback for is when there is some kind of an online competitive play type situation. So like for the Destiny 2 beta, I think it is a demo for all the people that bailed. But I do think that the Crucible, they have to do a beta to balance the classes. They have to. The developers need that feedback of what's OP,
right?
What needs to be nerfed, all that stuff. Or Battlefield or anything that has like those multiple class based systems and it's competitive. You have to have a beta.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of a stickler for language, so it bugs me when like you call it one thing, but it's actually another.
Yeah.
I think I would like to see like a trial or closed beta. I'm fine with closed betas, but open betas piss me off when developers are using them as a demo.
Right.
And the player base pisses me off when I see complaints about people being like, well, they changed it. I'm like, it's a fucking beta.
That was the point.
It's a beta.
Yeah.
I think developers, if they truly have expectations, they should be transparent about it. Like, please test this. Please do that.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe they'd get more slack from the players.
Yeah.
When
and I think you're exactly like a lot of the issues that happen around it all is like the E3 thing. It's all expectation and like what the developers, they like just say, hey, look at this great thing, when they should say, like, hey, here's the purpose of us releasing this at this point. Like, if you could give us this feedback, that'd be fantastic, and keep this in mind as you go along. But most of them don't do that clear enough, and it ends up burning them, I think, more than anyone else.
I agree. And I think maybe I'm overly optimistic here, but I think it would be easier if players knew, hey, they don't have this polished out yet.
Right.
They don't have this part ironed out.
Right.
They would be a little more forgiving when it kind of flops or doesn't work right or changes.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have the guy who's like, oh, well, it wasn't like this. And a bunch of people being like, they said they didn't know what they were going to do with that yet. That's why we tested it. I mean, I actually think the community would be its defenders.
Which is why the Battlegrounds thing has been so great. And a lot of the open source stuff on Steam, there's a lot of garbage out there. But some of the stuff that has risen to the top that is good, like there was an understanding from the community around that stuff that this is a collaborative thing and it's evolving. And then some of those went on to like release as a full finished polished product. But I agree, it's all front end expectation.
Yeah, when developers are transparent, everyone knows what we've signed up for.
Yeah.
People aren't going to bitch about paying you money if they know what they're paying money for, you know.
Right. Thank you for listening to Save Every Universe. If you enjoyed this episode, please go listen to every other episode. Yeah, the Burger King guy comes out. Like, why won't he leave video games? It didn't work the first time.
You're talking about like in Fight Night?
Yeah, remember they
he
did the
was a
Burger King
special
and then like
trainer.
the Dodge truck comes out and stuff. They'd have to do some stuff like that. And I'm like, what is like it's
They're
a
not gonna
Dodge
do.
Space Cruiser? Like that's what you have to fly around for the whole beta.
It's better than the Ford Space Cruiser.
Yeah. And you see the king flying the ship like on the load screen and stuff.
Maybe Destiny 3. If they don't make enough money off Destiny 2, we'll start seeing the... Yeah.
That's the time to bail on Destiny.